IPOB South Korea engages international scholars in vital dialogue on Biafra, self-determination and human rights abuses. In a significant step toward globalizing the Biafran self-determination struggle, the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB chapter in South Korea, convened a high-level discourse with international scholars from over 16 countries on Sunday, September 14, 2025. The meeting, held in the heart of Seoul, focused on critical issues plaguing the Biafran people, including the ongoing quest for Biafra's independence, enforced disappearances of Biafran youths, the extraordinary rendition of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, and widespread human rights violations against Biafrans in Nigeria. This gathering underscores IPOB's growing diplomatic footprint and its commitment to engaging academia and global thought leaders in the fight for justice and sovereignty. The event, organized under the banner of IPOB, brought together academics, researchers, and experts in international law, human rights, and African studies from diverse nations, including the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Japan, Germany, France, India, South Africa, and several others across Europe, Asia, and Africa. Participants hailed from prestigious institutions, reflecting a broad spectrum of perspectives on post-colonial struggles, ethnic marginalization, and state-sponsored repression. The discourse was described by attendees as eye-opening and urgent, highlighting the need for international intervention in what IPOB terms the genocide in slow motion against the Igbo and other Biafran ethnic groups. Key topics of the Seoul discourse. The meeting delved into several pressing issues, fostering a multidisciplinary exchange that blended legal analysis, historical insights, and policy recommendations. Here's a breakdown of the core themes. The issue of Biafra self-determination. Scholars debated the legal and moral basis for Biafra self-determination under international frameworks like the UN Charter's right to self-determination. Participants emphasized how Nigeria's federal structure perpetuates ethnic imbalances, with Biafran resources, oil from the Niger Delta, funding a central government that neglects the southeast. One expert from the UK noted, Biafra's struggle mirrors other successful independence movements, such as Catalonia or Scotland, but faces unique barriers due to Africa's colonial borders. Enforced disappearances of Biafran youths. Reports of thousands of young Biafrans vanishing after arrests by Nigerian security forces were a focal point. Drawing from Amnesty International data, which documents over 1,800 killings in the southeast, attributed to non-state actors and state responses, the group highlighted patterns of arbitrary detention and extrajudicial executions. A South African scholar linked this to broader African human rights crises, urging regional bodies like the African Union to investigate. Extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu. The abduction of Kanu from Kenya, without extradition proceedings, was condemned as a blatant breach of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Legal experts from Europe and North America called for sanctions against Nigerian officials involved, comparing it to infamous cases like the U.S. Rendition program post 9/11. IPOB representatives reiterated demands for Kanu's unconditional release and an international tribunal to probe the incident. Human rights abuses against Biafran people. Broader atrocities including military raids, sit-at-home enforcements amid insecurity, and economic sabotage were dissected. The discourse criticized Nigeria's use of unknown gunmen narratives to discredit IPOB, while scholars from Asia pointed to parallels with minority suppressions in their regions. Recommendations included petitions to the International Criminal Court and advocacy for Biafran observers in global forums. The session also touched on other issues, such as the role of foreign powers in sustaining Nigeria's unity for economic interests and strategies for Biafran diaspora mobilization. Attendees praised IPOB's disciplined approach, contrasting it with factional elements like Simon Ekpa's group, which has been accused of violence and disavowed by IPOB leadership. Global implications in IPOB's diplomatic push. This Seoul meeting is part of IPOB's broader strategy to internationalize the Biafran cause, following engagements with the United Nations in 2018 and ongoing advocacy in Europe and North America. As one participant from Japan observed, IPOB's outreach to Asia signals a shift. Biafra is no longer just an African issue, but a global test for decolonization. The event aligns with rising global awareness of indigenous rights, amplified by social media campaigns under hashtags like Biafra and IPOB. IPOB's global family, spanning chapters in over 100 countries, continues to grow through social reorientation and nonviolent resistance. Recent press releases from IPOB's Directorate of State emphasize that the movement rejects criminalization attempts and remains committed to a referendum for Biafran independence. Biafrans worldwide, from the diaspora to the homeland, view such forums as vital to countering Nigerian propaganda and building alliances. A call to action. As the dust settles on this landmark discourse, the international scholarly community has pledged to amplify Biafran voices through publications, petitions, and further collaborations. For Biafrans, the message is clear. The struggle for freedom is sacrosanct, and global solidarity is key to dismantling oppression. Whether through academic papers, legal challenges, or public campaigns, the path to a sovereign Biafra appears more illuminated than ever. In the words of an anonymous scholar at the event, the world cannot ignore Biafra's plight any longer. Justice delayed is justice denied. As IPOB presses on, this meeting in South Korea may well prove a turning point in the long fight for self-determination. Family Writers Press International.